Hello everyone, welcome to this video. I'm continuing on in the US Go Congress 2019 game review series. Um, if you haven't seen my prior games, I would suggest you look at them before you look at this one. Yeah, so far in the Congress, I am 2-2. Um, this is my worst Congress at the time, like ever. Like even though there were still 2 games left, I never reached 2 losses at a Go Congress. My worst record I ever had was 5-1 by the end of it. So finally got 2 losses at a Congress. So definitely a little disappointed, but I still have 2 games to go. So I just want to finish out strong and try to do the best I can. My opponent for the 5th round was somebody who is finally not half my age. I think he's an elderly Korean man who I believe lives out in Boston, but I could be wrong about that. And yeah, my opponent plays pretty unorthodox, and it kind of threw me for a loop during the game because it's like I know it's not a good move or like an inefficient move, but how can I punish, right? So let's see if I know how to punish. And yeah, so let's go into it. I'm black. My opponent is white. I make a large, or not a large, just a 1 space enclosure. And they played this. So this is like the first questionable move for white. If anything, it should be on the 3rd line, just because it sets up a better base. If if black gets an extension here, it's pretty uncomfortable for white to come back to make a base, right? Because if white just pulls back, black can just scoop it out. Yeah, and if white just comes down, then this area is still wide open. I kind of probably could have done this immediately and it would have been a completely different game. Because if white goes elsewhere, this move would be pretty severe because especially this is super strong and this is strong, this stone could get under attack. Whereas if white played low and I counter extend, white could play something like the 1 space jump here. And this would be pretty much better than if it was high like this. So I just approach, and they kick, and then pincer, which like that's not standard, right? That's not good. We're told that if you're going to kick, you have to extend on the other side. Like do something like this. If your opponent answers, probably answers something like this, then you get sente. You can go wherever you want. Something, right? But when you pincer immediately, you leave the corner vulnerable. So in the game, I played this one, but I think what I should have done is play this. This is a very common punish you can do if your opponent does this kick and then leaves it from the 4-4 spot. So they hane, extend, and if they extend, cut. They can't Atari from this way because these stones are weaker than these 2 stones, so they have to Atari here. Then you extend. Again, these stones are weak, so they need to extend down this way, but then you can Atari, hane, Atari, and then even if you just connect, you've completely sealed in white's corner. Which this is a good result for black, for sure. Now this stone is just kind of floating, and it has that same problem that this stone has, that since it's a high stone, even if white gets to extend, there's still a ton of weakness here, and it's not clear how white can protect this spot. So I wish I had done that, and this is a pretty much forced sequence. Your opponent can try playing moves like this, but as you can see, their shape is pretty bad, right? even if you just take the corner. Yeah, even if you just take the corner, I don't think it's that bad of a result for black. You get Sente. They just capture 2 stones. The corner is pretty big as well. So, bottom line, I should have gone here. While this felt nice in the game, all it did was resort back to a normal corner sequence. It's like if white played here and I ignore, when your opponent pincers, this is a natural spot to look for. But so white played out of line, so I shouldn't revert it back to a equal result for me. So I counter pincer, diagonal, very solid move. This move actually prevents a black connection because of where the stone is. If black tries to, let's see, yeah, it just really helps with the connection here. You can see because of this stone, it really helps this cut stone now. Yeah, so it's a very solid move. It gets white out into the center, and not that white would ignore, but black getting this move here really puts a lot of pressure on this one stone. Not that black would do that immediately, but for later. Plus it has a nice follow-up here, which white does get later. So then I attach. Attachment starts a large-scale fight, but because white is strong here, I should not try to engage in white. Even though right now, like during the game, these stones don't look super strong, but because white played super tight right here, these stones are actually pretty strong. It's hard to attack these, so I shouldn't try to fight white. I should just maybe do something a little calmer. Yeah, I think this would be better. Maybe even come out this direction once. If white fixes over here, then I can attack. If white does something else over there, then I can attach here and play a little more aggressive. So this was probably too rushed by me. And I see this a lot. And when somebody cuts, you extend this way. But if you extend this way, white can Hane here. And white has protected this cut because if you try to push through, white can just descend and, instead of just blocking here. White can descend, and there's no cut now. So you'd go here, and the reason why this is better because I'm basically treating it as if white has made this exchange. Right? This is the move I get when white plays here. So it's the exact same thing if white were to do this now. And going back to this one, you can see once white Hanes, black cannot capture the stone. So if black cannot capture the stone, this is super weak and this group is super weak. If black tries to do something like this, white can just jump out. And even if black can maybe connect, white could then turn back to this group. But by playing here, you can see if white does the same thing, I can capture the stone in a ladder. And even if white can cut this off, the thickness here is worth much more. Yeah, for sure. So that's why you play the extension and not this other extension. Just kind of assume your opponent will make this exchange, right? So my opponent extends in the game, helping the cutting stone. Jump here. And they attach. So this is playing the shape of the bamboo, right? If I get to play there, I make a bamboo joint. So this is a weakness. Like this is how you exploit the bamboo joints. Now, if I just extend normally, white can wedge in here. And if I Hane, white can create a snapback. and trying to descend doesn't help, because I will never get more liberties than these 2 stones. So when white goes here, you have to protect the snapback somehow. So in the game, I Hane, and then play Tiger's Mouth. And even though white Ataris, my shape is pretty good here, and I can make an I anytime by going here. And white's corner has some Aji. Now I say some Aji because my opponent plays here next, but this move is incredulously slow. Now that black is alive here, this stone here has lost its value. So what I would want to do as white is play this one. Play the super strong diagonal. Because now that white has strengthened these stones are super weak. And there's a cut here that white has to look for or worry about. But directly it doesn't work. It looks like black can connect, but white can wedge in here. And you can see black gets captured. Yeah, so even if black goes here, you can see that, oh, but by black going there, now black's able to connect because black has made this exchange first. But actually, white will probably just do this. Live in the corner and give up 1 stone and attack this group. Yeah, so playing a move like this doesn't help. Even this fancy looking move. If white just blocks, black extends. If white tries to save this 1 stone, you can see this stone here is in a good spot because now black can turn here. Even though white can Atari, it would be, oops, it'd be a 1-step ko for white. A 2-step ko for white. Or, yeah, sorry, this one. Now it's a 1-step ko. But you can see if black just turns, it's not good, right? Or like if black wins the ko and gets to come down here, then black would capture these stones as well. But again, even though this move looks like, oh, you know, like black wants white to do this, and then, but white can just block and give up the 1 stone. So all I'm saying is this 1 stone here is not important for white. This move has much more value. Even though the corner is relatively large, being able to attack these would be much more important. And black comes out this way, white jumps, make my eye, and then live. And then white plays here. Again, this was the follow-up move. I kind of want white to do this one first. There's no way black can ignore this, because white could play pretty strongly here, because now white can get a connection here. So white shouldn't be worried about these stones. So I would do this one first. And then I descend, because now I'm treating this stone, saying that, okay, now I can either connect this way or this way. And again, my opponent spends another move on the corner. So white could have had a really tough or a really big lead in the opening, being able to attack this group, but white really let black off pretty easily, actually. I think the problem started with this attachment, and I didn't realize how strong these 2 stones are. Well, the initial problem with this move, but I still could have had a decent position if I didn't play this attachment. So I jump, white peeps, and then caps, and then I connect. And not only does this connect, but it gets me eyes as well. So white pushes once, and then fixes. This looks like a funny move, but it's really the best move in this case, because it fixes this cut. In this case, white has a ladder, but even if white didn't have the ladder, white could just net. So it's a very good move. This is a good move to know. Yeah, it's a very good move. And you can see it has more of an effect if white gets to play another move here. So then, of course, I play the attachment here. So why do you attach as opposed to the 3-3? So I didn't 3-3 directly because it felt pretty obvious white would block on this side, and you can see this stone's in a perfect spot. And if I play like a normal Joseki, look how low this bottom is. It'd be very uninteresting for black. So I play the attachment. Now the attachment gives your opponent the choice of taking the corner or the outside. But notice if they take the outside, this area is closer now, right? It's 4 spaces as opposed to 5 spaces, right? So it's less efficient. And my corner, even though I still have to play like a line on the second line, a move on the second line, my corner is much bigger. Of course, the downside, which is what happened in the game, is, well, not downside, but there's something you have to deal with this attachment, is your opponent can choose to take the corner, which he does. But again, now when I extend, because this stone's on the 4th line, it could be floating. So they attach, Hane, and then they play the Tiger's Mouth, which this was another move that I'm like, yeah, that just doesn't feel good. But I guess it is kind of necessary in this case. Yeah, it just doesn't feel that appealing. I would rather just kick and then jump, but I guess it still leaves weaknesses. This stone's just not in a good position. I think white still should have done this and then maybe extended here. Yeah, because this does take the corner locally. Oops. But because of this stone here, you can see that the bottom side is not that valuable for white to try to build. So white attaches, core side Ayatari, and then I connect. They play up once, putting pressure on this group while helping their cornerstones. So I jump out here. Again, same idea for this one, except this case, I'm treating this stone lightly. And I would just connect. And you can see this stone's in a perfect spot. So in the game, my opponent just jumped, and then I played this move, which again, if let's say I go elsewhere, if white cuts, now it's an even better move because I can get this squeeze. And this would be pretty bad for white. So even though I'm not protecting the cut, I have basically protected the cut because the result for white is too dissatisfactory. And then I split here. And at this point I was feeling pretty much in control of this game after this lower left result. Like after the right side, I wasn't too happy. But once I got this move, cutting off these stones and cutting off the corner, I felt very happy. Or I felt like I was taking control of the game again. So they jump to try to connect the stones, and then I Hane in the corner. They jump, and I play the bump here. And this bump is threatening to cut off these stones here. But white needs to live. If white just does this directly, black would be able to get this move, which is Sente. So white wanted to make sure white got that move. And black could still cut these stones off. So white wanted to make sure white could get this move. And then I play the shape point, and then comes up. So I think it's pretty big to just take these, right? So white cannot save these. Because black is too strong here. Black shape is actually very good here, and white cannot cut off black or kill black anywhere. So if we assume this result, this actually made the bottom very large, right? Because black doesn't need to swallow these stones. So that's like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. It's almost a 20-point bottom now, which would have been pretty nice. So I think I could do that immediately. Yeah, but I play this first. Again, white got this move, so I didn't want white to take the first move on the top. But white got trying to put pressure on my corner, which makes sense because white wants to try to use his thickness. So I just extend down, and then they attach. Let's see. If I Hane here, yeah, they can't cut because I can Atari once and then capture. So they need a double Hane. This would be Ko. But I have a Ko threats down here. And winning this Ko would be pretty big because this group would be isolated then. Plus, even if I just connect, this like white can't just fill in the Ko. Because if white cuts now, then moves like this will be Ko threats. But if white fills, white's still not alive, and when I extend to protect the cut somehow, maybe just protect it like this, and white extends. This group, even if I do something like this, white needs to be worried about this group now. So that's a possibility. In the game, though, I just took my corner, but white got the double Hane. If I cut, white could counter Atari, and if and then I could capture. Now it looks like white can capture here, but I could actually Atari here, and then Atari here, and then this would be a ladder. So white would need to descend, but then I can cut again. So white would be giving up a lot just to build this top that isn't that exciting. Probably just extend. So I probably should have just taken the stone. Yeah, this is really good for black. I think I just played too quickly and I was like, oh, don't give him forcing moves, so I just connected, but this is exactly what white wanted. So yeah, white extends, so then I crawl, make sure white can't build the top while building my bottom or upper right. White connects, pincer, they attach once, which I don't think they need. I think they should just jump, because it really damages this stone, and I'm not sure directly how this stone helps. So I jump, or white jumps, and then tiger's mouth, then white seals me in, and then I play here. So at this point, I knew I was ahead on cash, even though white solidified this left side, which I was pretty unhappy about. Cash-wise, they have this, this, and this. But this whole center is unidentified, right? Because this upper right's pretty large. It's probably as large as this. But black also has this, 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 and potentially these stones. So it really depends on how much white gets here. Yeah, so this move, if I ignore, threatens this move here, which actually kills the corner locally. But first I wanted to ask what white wants to do. So, and then I cut, and then white Ataris, and then I just protect. One, I should just Atari once, and then even if I just come back to live and let white cut, I've created Aji here. Because in the game, When I went here, my opponent just extended. Now, at this point though, this is when the game could have turned pretty interesting. Is if white did this directly, not protect this locally. So, if white did this directly, one, this would take a lot of reading, which would be a lot for us amateurs to try to read out in a real setting, but I'll show you some variations that I come up with after the fact. So if black extends here, threatening to capture these, white could extend, and if black comes down, white could wedge. That's an Atari. So black has 2 liberties, white has 3, but black can cut here. But even if white just plays here, you can see that it's going to be a loose ladder. Black can never get more than 1 liberty. If black goes here first, white can Atari. And then if white plays this one, this would be a humongous ko that black would probably never be able to win, because for black to win the ko, black needs a lot of moves, because like even if white goes here, if black fills in the ko, white can just Atari. So yeah, it doesn't really do much. Yeah. Now the reason why white doesn't want to fill in directly is this move. Earlier, of course. I should have had that on the board, my bad. Is black can wedge first to see what white wants to do. If white goes this way, black can just connect. And let's just say white goes there. Now you'll see that with this sequence, you can see that if white connects, black can then capture these stones. Black would not capture though. Black would just extend once and see what white would do. If black just extends, white could extend, and black needs to let white not connect. White could go here. If black just sends, what would white do? Yeah, this actually looks pretty good for black, doesn't it? Yeah, so then white just needs to go here directly. But then this move becomes annoying for white, doesn't it? Okay, maybe there's not as much here as I thought. I didn't see the just extend here. By the way, this move is what I'm looking at, because then black can net, but can only net after this exchange has been made. Yeah, so I guess, you know, I had like a 30 long sequence here of black barely escaping to this group, but I guess since black can just do this, extend once more, there's nothing there. So I guess you'll never see what crazy sequence I had that spread over the entire center of the board. So yeah, I guess white couldn't do that. Now if anything, white should just extend here though, that's for sure. Okay, so here and then play here. So right now I should just take these stones. Now I will be 100% honest with all of you. I read this in the game, but I don't know what I was reading, because I thought this did not work. I don't know what crazy sequence I was reading where white could connect, but clearly white can't connect here. Yeah, there's just nothing. There's just nothing to try, nothing works, nothing at all. So this was a huge misread by me. Hopefully not game ending, but if I had seen this, this would have secured the game probably right now, because I think in the game, yeah, I played here because again I'm still trying to reduce white's area, but this black top has actually expanded a lot once black got these moves and this move here. So, and white cannot seal this center in one move. So if I have 20 points, 25 points up here, mid 20 points, and I can get 20 points here, 40 points. Black has like 50 points on the board, and white doesn't have that much, maybe 12 here, maybe another 15 here, and then a little bit here. So white needs to make like 10 points in the center, which doesn't sound hard, but black can also build here while reducing. So yeah, two quick. Now in this case it is attacking here, so it's not the worst move, but yeah, definitely there is better moves. Or just take that. Like right now, just boom, take that, and I win the game outright. But I play this kind of weird looking move. I'm saying I can either connect up to the top or connect here. So then I connect back up. White plays here, and then crawls, and then I play here. I've just solidified all these points here, which again felt great in the game. Still should be taking that. White peeps. I connect. So, diagonal, block, extend, and now white saves these. Yeah, but at the time I'm like, why is white saving those? You know, or like, why did white play that? It's so small. Because again, I thought white was connected. So, oh, the hubris. Some hubris, or as I like to call sometimes, cubris. Definitely some cubris by me. Now I'm just reducing some more. And now we're basically just going to endgame, or so I thought. Because one thing I learned, I was watching the Ryan Lee. Ryan Lee had a lecture on positional judgment. And one of the things he talked about, which I remember I was really trying to do in this game, was if you are ahead, just count how many points your opponent needs to make in order to catch up. And as long as you limit that much, you can win the game. So this game, I was actually counting pretty often. Much better than my last game, that's for sure. And I was like, you know what, I think I have this. I think I'm winning. I think I'm up by like 10 points almost. Yeah, even I got to play in the master's room because the main playing hall was too full, so they moved like the forward on and up players to the master's room, which was a nice experience. So I really I felt it was a good privilege, and I felt honored to be playing in there. It felt really good to be playing in there. So came with a bunch of Ohio buddies. Some of my students were there too, so I often went to go and check in their games in the main playing hall, which was like down the hallway. And I bumped into the TD, Mr. Andrew Hall, who apparently goes to the same club as David, and me and Andrew, we're a little chatty, we're buddies. And he asked me, because you know he made the pairings, he's the TD of the tournament, so he knew I was playing him. He's like, "How's the game going?" And I gave him like a thumbs up, right? I forget when, but it was somewhere around here. I gave him a thumbs up, and he's like, "Oh, really? Because David's a tough cookie in Boston. Nobody can beat him." Blah blah blah. So I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. Well, I'm glad I can do that, right?" Like, I felt pretty good about myself, because I'm thinking, okay, all my groups are safe. Granted, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, potentially 5 groups. You know, I gotta make sure they're all safe, but they are. And I'm reducing here, and I've made points here, so I was actually counting I'm ahead by like 10. So I'm just trying to secure my victory little by little. Yeah, and there's not really much exciting stuff left. I peep once, not really sure why. It doesn't really help anything. They did protect, but they did not need to. Even if, let's say, let's say, oops. Okay. Let's say I throw in once, and then Atari here, and then connect, and then they ignore again. Even though it looks dangerous for white, white can just jump here. And again, it looks dangerous, but black can never get enough liberties to do anything here. Yeah, it's very, oops, not there. This one. It's very close, but black can't quite do anything here. But they filled, so I didn't lose anything. But they did. All I got was they lost a point. Yeah, and I take there and then go here, and yeah, and I'm just thinking, okay, it's just going to endgame. And again, I was feeling pretty confident. Now, after the fact, I really wish I had gotten this move, because it's not that move. Let's say right now. I was saving this move, I don't know why. It's a huge move, so I should have just taken it. Even this one. This move is humongous. White can't ignore, and that's Sente for me. So I definitely should have taken that move. Even though it's Gote for white, it's pretty big, and if it's if my counting's wrong, I don't want to, make the game closer than it has to be. I block. Hane here, again, big move. Capture. Does that capture this stone? Yeah, of course, because this move is probably Sente. Maybe. I don't know, maybe it's just not big. Well, I don't know why I didn't do this one then, because that actually captures this stone. White cut. Atari. Really just need to make this exchange. But I play there first. Where do I play? Yeah, I play here. They descend, which is a good move. Yeah, I'm just playing endgame. We're going to cruise into victory. Atari. Play here. And then white plays this move, which is threatening these two stones. So I fix, and then white pokes in. So this is what we call me not reading carefully. I was reading this life and death. I was. But where I messed up my life and death was I did not see, even though white could go here, I was like, oh, but I can just make my eye, right? I can make my eye in the center here. Yeah, I can just make my eye in the center here. But I didn't realize, well, white can actually just connect. And I can't capture this stone. So, yeah, this was a huge misread. Huge misread. I don't even need to, if I'm ahead by as much as I think I am, I should just go there. White can capture two stones, but black would still win by 10 points roughly. But I played too quickly, and now I have to deal with whatever happens here. So white pokes in, and I just connect. And then white plays there. So after the fact, me and a couple of friends were seeing if white can just kill this outright, but it looks, it's not clear. So this would be a dead shape, but the question is, can I make an eye here? Let's say white pokes first, and then comes back. It's pretty dangerous for white. Let's see if I can remember, because again, this was over a month ago. This move's pretty annoying. What was it? Throw in now or do this? Atari. Fill in. Okay. Yeah, fill in is pretty annoying. And then black could go there. Okay, I think I found it. Yeah. So black could live by going there. White goes there. Black can fill in, and then white needs to take out the eye, but this is an Atari, and then you can see black would then cut these stones off, which I should have done earlier in the game, but this would have been nice too. But instead, white just goes here, and the best I can do in here is make a Seki in Gote, and they capture these stones here. So not only did they take away all these points in Sente, they make points here, which would have been the 2 points if I had just given these up. Yeah. So now, this was like, you know, during the game, you know, with my opponent, I was, you know, calm, cool, and collected, but inside it was so disheartening. So tough. Such a hard loss to the mental fortitude. But I knew the game was still close. So, you know, I was counting. But my count was, I think white has caught up now. I'm getting a little worried. And we're almost at the end, so I'll just finish it off now. White doesn't need to throw in there. Yeah, white should just Atari. Almost finished. Yeah, now just Dame. And we both pass, and I end up losing by 2.5 points. 2.5 points. Even after, like, this became second, you can see how many points white made here. It's 2.5 points win for white. Yeah, so this was, you know, my last game was sad because it just wasn't like interesting, and I was just playing dull, uninspiring, whatever. But this game was sad for the completely different reason, because it's how to lose a one game. Like, I was being so careful to make sure I don't lose this game, but I end up losing it anyways. So I lose this game, so I'm 2-3 in the Congress. The best I can do is a even record, which for my, like, my goal was 6-0, right? So to hear that my best case scenario is 3-3 was very difficult. But again, it's all, you know, the Congress is fun, so I wasn't like down or anything, just a little frustrated with my play. Yeah, so far every game has had like moments where it's like I could have thrown the game, and then it, you know, I end up winning. But then this one had moments where I definitely had chances to solidify the win, and I did not. So yeah, this was my hardest loss for sure. And the TD came in because we were one of the last games that round, so the TD came in and checked on us, and I was like, yeah, he won. He's like, but I thought you said you were, like, he was picking on me a little bit, which it was all fun, of course. But if you know him, if you know Andrew Hall, you'd understand, like, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, definitely an interesting game though. Like, you can see white has 4 groups at the end and black has 5. Or I made a 6th one here. I didn't need to, but I made a 6th one here, so I had 6 groups. So definitely a pretty complex game too. But yeah, if you have any questions about the game, please let me know. And if you want to look at the game The game record will be in the video description, as well as, I don't think I was mentioning it, but in the other Congress games videos, you should be able to find my records for those games as well. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this heartbreaking loss. But yeah, I will see you in the next video.